Hey now, my name is Nick Minahan, this is Board Game Brawl, and it is time for my first annual Top 100 Games of all time. Yes, I am jumping on the bandwagon. We're going to count down from 100 to number 1, my absolute favorite games in my collection. In my humble opinion, these games are fantastic, and assuming you like the theme and the type of game that it is, I would always recommend these games to you. I've been wanting to do this for a while. People have been requesting it. They want to know what my favorite games are, and I think even though, first off, it was a ton of fun for me. I don't do anything on this channel unless it's fun in some way, shape, or form for me. And so I wanted to do it. I always have fun putting together my top 10 lists, and the top 100 was a little more daunting, obviously, but it was still a lot of fun to do, so I definitely would like to turn this into a yearly tradition. But aside from the fun factor and aside from people requesting it, I think that it's important for new people that are coming onto the channel to see a list like this, because it's going to give you, even if you only watch, let's say, the top 20 of this list, it's going to give you a good indication of the type of games that I like, and therefore you can use that information when you're watching the rest of the reviews on my channel to see where I'm coming from. I think that's important. I think context is very important. I never think that any review that I give is like the definitive, I have spoken, no one should like this terrible game, or everyone should like this awesome game. No, you have to come to it with your own biases, and so a list like this is going to let you know what my biases are. And we'll jump right into it. The kind of games you're going to see on this list, you're going to see a lot of very thematic games, you're going to see cooperative games, you're going to see deck building games, you're going to see a lot of new games, because I haven't been into the hobby in a very hardcore way, at least, for very long, only for a few years. And so most of the games that I've been playing are newer games, especially since I've become a reviewer. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think we're living in the golden age of board games, and there are some fantastic games coming out that do what older games have done, even just from 10 years ago, better. But that is something to keep in mind when you're watching the list. I like new games, I like thematic games. There's not a ton of Euros here, although you might be surprised by how many there are on my list. And also the fact that there are a lot of these new Euro Ameritrash hybrids on the list, which I think is more and more where a lot of games are heading towards as we go forward and games continue to evolve more and more. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with my list, and I hope that you enjoy it. I gave a lot of thought to it. I really wanted to put games in here that I thought were excellent, and I hope that you agree. One thing, well, first off, let me say this too. I've done top 10 lists in the past, like top 10 deck builders, and the most recent one was top 10 Kickstarter games. I don't want to be held accountable if there's some discrepancies in those lists. Like, why is this game ahead of this game on this list, but it wasn't on this list? Okay, my tastes change all the time. Any given day, I freely admit that. And while these 100 games would always, be within, ballpark margins of where they are on this list, who's to say what one game is going to be ahead of the other? I mean, really, when you get down to it, especially at the top 30 games, they're all fantastic games. And on any given time, I'd be willing to play any of them. It just depends on what my mood is. So you can't hold me to much here, okay? It's just the way that my tastes go. I'll say, too, that I wanted to make my top 100 a little bit different than the other ones that I've seen. And I like to be, I like to give people a chance to air their grievances if they disagree with me. So what I've decided to do is have rebuttals. What this is going to take the form of is at the end of every entry on the top 100, I'm going to read off a negative comment from the Board Game Geek comment section of each game. When I go for these, I'm always going to be aiming for content that is short, to the point, and funny over ones that are long and drawn out. I just don't have the time to read a very lengthy diatribe as to why the game sucks, but I think it's a funny perspective to give. I was inspired to do it because back in the 90s when I first got into Depeche Mode, I bought their singles collection, and in the liner notes for the singles collection, they'll have the song, they'll have a blurb from a good review of the song, of the single, together with a blurb of a horrible review of the single. And I thought that was very funny and very cool, so I was kind of inspired by that. So let me know how it works. Hopefully it's not too clunky, and I think it can be a very funny perspective. And other than that, let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna break these down into top 10 lists going from 100 to 91, 90 to 81, etc. I'm gonna try to put them out every Saturday and Monday-ish. Don't hold me to that either, but somewhere around there. So there's just gonna be a couple of days between each video, and hopefully I get them done before Christmas. So that's about it for the intro for this. Let's go ahead and hopefully the other video will be pairing up with this soon after you watch this, and I hope that you enjoy it. I would love to get any feedback from you. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you totally disagree with my picks, or if you love my picks, or if you're mostly indifferent. Actually, don't tell me if you're indifferent. That doesn't really matter to me. I want to hear polarized opinions. But my name is Nick. This has been Board Game Brawl, and I'm reminding you to get out there and game every day and in every way. Take care.